If you clicked on this video, it's because something clearly resonated with you. If you wonder why your agency feels like a job that you can't quit, then here are 7 signs that you've built a job, not a business, and exactly how to solve them. Now, a few years ago, I ruined my wife's Christmas. It was Boxing Day and I had promised her that there would be no phone. That lasted a whole hour, right? Until I had one angry message from a client and my whole day was gone. I was too busy, not present with my family, firefighting clients just to have the client leave anyway. And that was when I realized I hadn't built a business. I'd built a job that I couldn't quit. And the worst part was it was a prison that I'd put myself into. If any of this feels at all familiar as an agency owner, then stick with me. So here's my promise. In this video, I'm going to give you the 7 signs to look out for and exactly how to solve them. So you can actually start owning your agency instead of it owning you. So just a quick intro so you know the information you're getting is actually from someone that knows what they're talking about. My name is Bradley Riley. I did $6 million last year in cash collected with my own agency. I've done over 8 figures in lifetime agency revenue and coached over 4,000 agencies. So you're in safe hands today. So the first thing to look for is that you build a founder-dependent business. And the sign for that is that everything still runs through you. So here's exactly what you need to look for. Number 1, the classic, clients still ask for you by name. The second thing, the team waits for your sign-off, okay? Meaning they can't do anything without your approval. Number 3, deals only seem to get across the line and close when you get involved or when you actually get on the call. Number 4, fires start to take over your whole business the moment that you step away. Or number 5, your brain never truly switches off. You can't relax because you know if you do, all of the above is going to happen, okay? Those are what you need to look out for. And if any of that resonated to you, then you have an issue with sign number 1. And if you're in this state, let me tell you, you will not be able to scale. And the lesson for you here is simple. Your bottleneck isn't increasing LTV or decreasing churn or getting more clients. I'm here to tell you, you are the bottleneck. You as the founder are the bottleneck because nothing can scale without your fingerprints all over it. So the moment you step back, everything breaks. That isn't a business, that is a job, okay? So the second thing to look for is that you solve problems instead of building systems. So you're a firefighter in your business, not an architect. So what is the shift here? Right now, what probably happens is this. There is a problem, that problem arises. You then fix that problem yourself by getting involved and then everyone moves on, okay? But what should be happening is there is a problem in the business. You then get excited, fantastic, a problem. That's a feedback loop for me to make things better. You then build an SOP or a system around that problem to make sure it never happens again. And then you give ownership of that SOP and system to an individual on your team so they own and become accountable to that. Because if every single time that happens that there's a problem, you build a system around it, every single repeat problem becomes a better system and that becomes a system where you're not involved, okay? Whereas if you don't do that, that's why you just spend all day, every day in firefighter mode, not feeling like you're really making any progress because you just fix the problem and then move on. Instead, you need to get the problem, welcome the problem, get excited for the problem because you know you're going to solve that problem with a system and then therefore it's never going to happen again. And every time you get a problem, it just means you're making your business 1% better, okay? And then problems aren't reason for stress, they're reason for excitement, okay? A big shift. Now, what does that look for, okay? A firefighter's loop is this. A problem appears, you fix it, everyone moves on, and the same problem happens again. And this is the architect's path. A problem appears, you build the SOP, you then assign ownership of that system to an individual, and then it is solved for good, meaning you never have to solve it twice. So here's the third sign. You have hired people, not leaders. And that means your team are not owning outcomes. So here's the key difference here. Employees just simply do tasks that you ask them for, okay? I want you to do these things and then they just go and do it. But leaders actively solve problems, okay? I'm not speaking here as well about managers. I'm not speaking about making somebody a leader in a leadership position. I'm not speaking about managers here. I'm simply speaking about leadership in decisions. So these are people who own the role and they own the result, and that's in any position that they're in, okay? Even if they're an individual contributor on the front lines, they are accountable to the result and they own the role in its entirety, okay? Because if every single time it comes through you, that's not leverage, okay? If every single time there's a problem, you have to be the one to make that decision, then there's absolutely zero leverage there. Whereas if you have people in your team who are fully responsible for the outcome, and because of that, you empower them to make key decisions on their own, okay? To take ownership, to take leadership of decisions, that's how you can build a scalable business. And if you don't do that, then you're going to be stuck in firefighter mode 24/7, exactly as you are right now. So let me tell you how you turn individual contributors who are sort of button clickers into leaders. Number one, you need clear expectations. So first and foremost, does the person you hired know exactly what it is they're required to do? And are they even aware that you want them to start taking ownership in decisions, okay? Sometimes if you want people to act a certain way, you just have to tell them. You just have to be clear. The second thing you need here is accountability systems. You need systems in place to make sure every single person in the team has actual accountability for results, meaning they know if they don't hit an outcome, they are going to be held accountable for that. If you don't have it, meaning if they don't hit KPI, the world goes on, then that is part of the issue. There's no downside or repercussion if they don't achieve the outcome they promise, and equally there's no incentive in place, which we'll speak about in a minute, if they do achieve the goal, okay? Which takes me on to step 3 here, which is KPIs for every role. In order to enforce accountability systems, you need to have KPIs. So you need KPIs for every single position in your company. Every person should have a set of metrics and numbers that they are held accountable to, and first and foremost, that they even know that they're expected to achieve. Now, for CSMs, that could be retention, okay? For sales reps, that could be cash per call. For setters, it could be, again, a similar metric, cash per call or cash per set. The most important thing that you need to have, though, is clear KPIs for every single position so they know what they're working towards. It's one thing to say, I expect you to do these inputs, but it's another thing to build a business where they know they're actually accountable to outputs, meaning they're accountable to the number that's achieved at the end of every month. And you can only do that once every single role in every single position in your company has clear KPIs. And then finally, you have the right incentives. So we speak about keeping accountability if people don't do their job, okay? But equally, there's nothing more powerful than incentivizing people when they do achieve said thing. It's one thing to have the stick in place if they don't do their job, okay? You need accountability when they're not doing well. But then on the flip side, it's even more powerful to have the right incentives to place for when they go and achieve those KPIs. This could be bonus structures, this could be commissions, okay, this could be promotion opportunities. But if they know that when they go and actually achieve said thing, they're going to get incentivized for that, they're going to get paid extra money, there's something in it for them, you're going to find that you start to get way more out of your team. So, number 4, revenue grew faster than the business. Now, the issue with this one, okay, and this is a sign that feels like success, but ultimately is actually a trap. Now, more clients means more meetings, which means more fires. So yes, your revenue is doubled, but your stress may have actually quadrupled or 10x'd, okay? Because yes, you're getting more clients, but with every more client means you're gonna have to hire more team. And with more teams means more headaches. And with more headaches and more team members means more mistakes, which means more client headaches, okay? So what's happening is you're in this flywheel of every time you see more success, you're just getting more and more stressed, okay? And it's making you hate your business even more than you do right now, every single time you scale it up. The issue with this is growth without infrastructure causes chaos and thin margins, because it's kind of this self-fulfilling prophecy where what happens is you start to scale, and because you scale, you bring on more clients, and with more clients becomes more stress and more team members, and they then start to make more mistakes. And because you can't be all over it and you're really stressed and you're not being proactive and making the business better, you're super reactive. You get in this loop where your service gets worse, which means your churn gets higher. So you're bringing on clients, but you're just churning them out the other side. So you've now got more people to fulfill clients that you're now just churning through. So you end up scaling and you actually end up just getting thinner margins and unhappier clients, okay? And this is the trap with success. So revenue climbs fast, okay? But your systems haven't followed. So your operational capacity has not mirrored with that revenue. And then here we've got the stress line, which has gone even beyond that of the revenue. So you're stressed like crazy because you have no operational capacity, yet your revenue is scaling. So the 5th sign to look out for is that you are addicted to being needed. And unfortunately, this one is on you. It's not on your team. Now, sometimes, and I'm going to be brutally honest with you here, being the hero feels good. Thinking, I'm the only person in the business that can fix this. Like, knowing that you're the best at what you do, okay, is an ego trap, okay? But that's only fun until it's every single weekend, 14 hours a day, being constant reactive, fighting fires with team members and fighting fires with clients. The issue with control is that it does not scale. Because if you are always needed, okay, that's dependence, not freedom. And a lot of you even started your agencies because you wanted to have freedom, yet you bought yourself a more stressful job than if you actually just went to get a job. Here is the hero trap. The more you rescue, the more they need you. So you're needed, you rescue it. Then because they know you're going to jump to the rescue, they rely on you more. And then you're needed even more. So it's like this flywheel where it gets progressively worse and worse and worse, okay? It just means you end up working more hours, more nights, and more weekends. So the sixth sign is that you are measuring the wrong thing, okay? You're measuring numbers that flatter you, not numbers that free you. So the issue is right now, you're probably tracking things like headcount or revenue, okay? You're tracking the numbers that flatter your ego. But instead, why don't you start tracking metrics like how many decisions this week actually needed my input? What about how long could I actually disappear from my agency and it still run without me? You can track what percentage of your clients actually need you, not your team. And again, the lower that percentage, the better. Ideally, it would be 0, right? What percentage of your team are fully anonymous? You've got to understand that freedom from your business is a KPI. Now, that's not so you can put your feet up and relax. Maybe you do after all the stress that your agencies cause you. But in reality, it's more so freedom is a key KPI because if you remove yourself from operating your business, you can finally own your business. And when you own your business, you can get into the strategy seat and actually scale it. You know, remember at the start of this video, I said, if you're seeing any of these issues, you are the bottleneck, okay? So freedom is a KPI because it gives you the time to then focus on the things that are actually going to drive the business forward. And then sign number 7 is that you need to build an agency that works without you. And this, okay, you'll be glad to know, is the way out. Because when you remove yourself, it's super important that you start to own vision of the business, strategy, where are you allocating resource and capital in the business, having ownership over key hires and having ownership over culture. Because when you build this business, you have to understand as an agency that's a service business, you are your people, okay? Who you have on the front lines of your agency is your agency. You're not selling a physical product, you're selling a service. So having the best possible people in those roles is going to make or break your agency. So spending as much time making those key hires and building them amazing culture to work in is one of the most important things you can do as a business owner. And again, strategy, being able to sit down and actually take the time to proactively review your metrics, look and find out where the bottleneck is, and then have the white space on your calendar to urgently go and attack that and solve that bottleneck, okay? You want white space on your calendar so you can have the free time to attack the most important thing, not necessarily just go and sit back on a beach, okay? But what you shouldn't be doing is you shouldn't be approving everything. You shouldn't be spending all day, every day in Slack. You shouldn't be tweaking creatives or copy for clients or sending out your own invoices or firefighting every single problem, because your role gets more valuable the less busy it actually gets. And if you're getting less busy, that is a sign that you're actually in the right seat as CEO. And you have to think of it this way. Your job is to own the direction, okay, and make the key strategic decisions. And your team own the operation. Remember, your job is to go from operator to owner. So you have you that sit at the top, and then you have all of your team that sit underneath you. And depending on the level you're at, you may even want to hire team lead positions or an operations manager underneath. So your individual contributors on your team report into them, and then they report into you. And then you can sit and have an individual meeting every week where you hold that operator accountable to the results of the team, and that is how you can fully remove yourself. But even in the short term, if you can get yourself to having your direct reports who just report directly into you, you can have a one-to-one every 1 or 2 weeks, and then the whole operation can run without you, and you can then proactively spend the rest of your time doing the key things that are actually going to drive the business forward. And by the way, if any of this resonated with you whatsoever and you are ready to get out of the day-to-day, stop being the bottleneck and actually scale, click the link below, you can apply for my private mentorship. It's completely backed by both a results and happiness guarantee. So if you want my personal support to help you scale your agency's revenue and get out of the day-to-day from someone who's actually been there, grown his own agency to over 700K a month, 6 million a year, been in the industry for almost a decade, click below and I'd love to see how I can help.